Hello and welcome to the Acceleration Netcast. In this episode, what we're going to do is, if you recall, in last week's episode, we built this handy-dandy construct over here, which took this big CrossTab data and it sort of unwound it so that it looked more like a data dump, database style table, wherein each element had its own row. So that's nice, but let's say a few weeks later we run into something a little bit bigger. Say this table that's got all these rows, 365 rows for an entire year's worth of data for 50 states, and we'd really like to use that construct from last time, but we'd rather not build it from scratch. So is there a way we can store last week's construct in a text document or an email so that we can pull it out for later use and sort of deploy it very quickly? Well, as you could tell by the fact that there's still several minutes remaining on this, yes, there is a way to do that, and that's what we're going to do. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to our new CrossTab table, and we're going to go ahead and name the ranges, and we're going to name them in the way, the same manner that they were named last time. So I'm going to start by doing the y-axis here, Control-Shift down arrow, and Alt-M, M-D, and we're going to call this column, and we're going to call it column y-axis. And it's important to be sure that we name, the names we're using here are the same names we used in the construct last week. So if we go over here, if we go over here, we'll see that we've got the same names as we had before. If you don't do that, it won't work, so be sure you get that right. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to do Control-Shift right arrow, Alt-MMD, and we're going to call this row x-axis, enter, and Control-Shift right, Control-Shift down, Alt-MMD. We're going to call this rectangle body. Okay, so that's the first step, and it's actually, we're a good chunk of the way there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our old sheet, and we are going to extract this little construct over here, but we're going to do it in a specific way such that we could store it in either an email or in Notepad. And more specifically, we're going to store it in Notepad. So the first thing I'd like to point out is here is Notepad, an Excel user's best friend. And the way, if I copy and paste data from Notepad into Excel, it's going to interpret things in a specific way depending on how it's entered. So if I highlight this area here, I'm going to do Control-C, I'm going to go over here to Excel and do Control-V. You'll see that it pastes the data, and everywhere before that there was, I hit Enter, there was a line break, it treated that as going down a row. Okay, that's kind of obvious, that's what you'd expect, but watch what happens when I tab, 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 tab. If I put tabs between these characters here, when I go, I hit Control-C, and I go over here, and I hit Control-V, notice now all of a sudden, everywhere there was a tab, it knows to go over a cell. So it starts reading over here, it sees the A, and it sees a tab, so it goes to this one, it sees another tab, it pastes C, then it sees this line break, so it goes down a row, and then it does the same thing. That's kind of useful, but watch this. This is where it sort of gets really, really useful. I'm going to do equals, I don't know, it's not too important, 2 plus 2. So now I'm going to copy this, Control-C, back over here, Control-V. Notice that when I pasted equals 2 plus 2, it didn't paste this as a text string, it actually pasted the formula. So that's that really handy property of copying from Notepad that we're going to exploit this week. I'm going to highlight this area, hit delete to get rid of it. So when we copy it to Notepad, we're going to do it in a very specific way. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go up here. I'm going to let me copy the second line first. I'm going to do Control-C, Alt-Tab. I'm going to go to the second line, hit Control-V, and notice when I did it this way, since I'm copying text, it was able to properly paste it over with the tabs in between the things. Now, if I were to just go back here and copy and paste this, it would paste the values into the text document, and that's not what we want. We want the formulas. So we're going to have to do this part by hand. So this one isn't a formula, this is a series we created. So I'm going to hit Control C, Alt Tab, Control V, backspace. And I'm going to hit Tab because the next thing that I want to, when I paste it, to appear in a new cell. I'm going to do Alt Tab. I'm going to double click here and I'm going to scoop the entire formula up, Control C, including the equals equal sign, don't forget that. Alt Tab, Control V, Alt Tab. I'm going to hit Escape and I'm just going to keep scooping out these formulas, Control C. And I'm going to be sure to have a tab between each formula so that when I paste it, each formula gets its own cell. Control V. Hit Escape. Double click. Okay, Control C. And remembering to have that tab there, Control V. Okay, it's getting kind of big, but it's okay, it'll still work. The last thing I'm going to do, hit Escape, is up here, I've introduced this formula, which we had before, but I think I deleted it last time. So I'm going to hit F2, I'm going to scoop this up, Control C, and I'm going to put this on the first line. It's fairly important that Escape, that our source and destinations are on sort of the same rows. So if you'll notice up here, I've sort of done this in such a way that I'm going to, whoops, when I go over here, I'm going to paste it right up in this corner, so that the 48 will go there, and then I'll have the val y-axis and all that stuff there, and then on the third line I'll have the first line of the formula. That's because this formula here actually refers to this cell. So if I don't copy and paste it with the exact same positions, it'll refer to something else and it won't work. I'm gonna hit Escape. Okay, so I think that I've got everything that I need to get going here. So I'm going to hit Control F3 to verify. I've got my name manager here for this new workbook, and I've got everything named correctly, so I'm going to close that. So I'm going to Alt, whoops, so many things open, hold on. I'm going to Alt Tab into my Unwinder construction here. I'm going to go up here, I'm going to copy the whole thing, or highlight the whole thing, hit Control C to copy it, Alt Tab, moment of truth, Control V. Oh, that's fantastic. And look, the first line's already done. We've got the value from the y-axis, Alabama, and we've got the value from the body. Now, this might seem a little confusing. You're like, what is this? I thought this was a date. If I go over here to the CrossTab, look, this is supposed to be January 1st, 2011. If I hit Control-Shift pound or Control-Shift 3, you'll see that that's just, it was a serial date, and now I've converted it into a date formatted for a human person to look at. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. Notice I've built this in such a way that I know how many rows I need, because I've got my little construct up here that it multiplies the number of rows times the number of columns in the body, and that's how many lines I'm going to need. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to do Alt-H-F-I-S, Shift-Tab, go down, Tab, 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 and I'm going to do 18250, 18250, and I'm going to hit Enter. Okay, now I'm going to go over here, I'm going to hold down Shift, right arrow, and I'm going to double click to send the formula down. This might take a second, so I'm going to hope this doesn't cause Camtasia to crash. Thinking, oh, well, that wasn't too bad at all. Now, suddenly, we took, well, let's see, how many elements we took? We took 18,000 elements, and we unwound them in a couple seconds. Not too bad, huh? Okay, double click to open that up. We could do a few other things, like double clicking here to make sure that we've got enough space for everything, and we could do Control Shift 4 or $ to format that as money. But all in all, we've accomplished a lot of work with not that much labor, which is kind of handy. And we've also gone through the fact that if you use tabs intelligently, you can take this formula here, or really collection of formulas, and just store this in an email or somewhere. And next time you run into this giant cross-tabular data, you just have to rename it, and then go in here to your new sheet, go up to the top, oops, and essentially just copy and paste, and then you're done. So I don't know, I think that's quite fantastic. So I think it'll save you a lot of work. So I hope this made a lot of sense, and if you have any questions, please do let me know. I will see you next time.